Guess who got brands talking? Brandlive.co.za.
Johannesburg, South Africa, Melville Studios. This is Gossip with a Quill. I'm Carlisle.
I'm Erica.
And today we have a special guest calling in from Cape Town. His name is David Henderson. David. Hello. 1 second. While we wait for the Cape Townian to catch up. I can't hear him. Hello.
David.
Knock, knock.
Where did you guys go?
Okay.
Here we are. Woo, and we're back.
Why did you leave me?
No, it's you. You're on Cape Townian time.
Ah,
How are you this morning, David?
I'm short on coffee. It's quite a big problem.
Oh, I wish I could fax you some. I'll just give it to you.
Yeah, please, man. Tell me, where are you guys sitting? Whereabouts the studio?
We are in Melville, a beautiful place called 27 Boxes.
Yeah, it's very sweet, you know. It's very what do you call?
Artsy.
Yes, a lot. No, it's really a nice place.
So, David, the last time we interacted, you were still the founding member of my ebook, South Africa. But you've shifted gears from like the technical side more into the coaching side, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. So out of interest, are we live already?
Yes.
Yes. Hello, David. Welcome to the party.
So I'm gonna totally put on my professional side here. I'm gonna put down my drink and okay. So yes, I started the business and I think being new to business and naive, I tended to focus more on the speciality of ebooks and sort of the new technology. And obviously, as time progressed, ebooks became fairly well known. People knew what they were. People learned a lot more. And I found myself relying less and less on being, the ebook guy, and more on helping authors understand their business and their brand. Because, I think both you ladies will know that once the book is out there, if you don't have a plan, nothing really happens.
Absolutely.
And most authors do that. Most authors throw the book into the engine called Amazon. And for some reason, they think, but because it's online, magically sales pour through. And I love chatting with authors about what they have planned around that.
So you coach
so
them
that's where
and
I've
direct them and just manage their brand as such online. Am I right?
So I manage expectations.
Okay.
Another way to put it is I bring cold water. So a lot of authors, I think they have blinkers on, and they have a special aversion to marketing. As soon as you mention marketing, you can see the eyes glaze over.
Mm.
And so what I bring to conversations is I bring that cold water to go, listen, here's what you're about to do. Here's what you should expect. You tell me what you have planned. Let's figure out, if you will make a splash or not.
Yes, and it's a lot of things as well that authors, when they want to write a book, they only think about the story and the publishing side of it. They never think about what's going to happen after you publish the book. And it's a lot of, how can I say, I think it's one of the main reasons why authors are always looking for publishing companies, because they think that the publisher takes on all the marketing, which is actually a little bit of a lie, don't you think? The publishing company...
Please tell them. Please tell them.
Have a sip of that ice water.
But it's like what I experience in the publishing company, and then at the end of the day, they don't put in as much as, say, a self-published author puts into their book. And then that is one of the reasons why some self-published authors sell better than traditional published authors, because of the marketing they are putting in. So yes, it's actually, there is a gap for what you are doing in the publishing industry, because a lot of authors only think they have to get the book ready and get it published, and people will magically see their book among 8 million other books that's online. So yeah, it's
Is that how
really
many there are now on Amazon?
the word.
Probably more. There's about
Yeah, no, there's a
40,000.
lot more, eh?
40,000 a month gets published on Amazon alone.
But I think the ranking system only goes to like 8 million, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I don't know. I think you know Amazon better than anyone else does. But yeah, it's. I'll die if my rank shows 8 million.
So, David, what
so
I understand you're doing
yeah,
is
okay.
you're taking your author.
Can you
that
hear
comes
us?
to you. Knock, knock.
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Okay.
Go.
So you're going to get the mindset of the author right, and you're going to coach them into
So-
how to get into that frame of mind to work and to work towards the goal.
Yeah, so I think the way I do business is I probably educate a lot more than I sell. So obviously
Which is
what
important.
we provide is we support it, because a smart author tends to be a much more fun person to work with, and that's kind of what I want. I want to have fun. And so I think one of the easy mistakes to make in business is to sort of excite the author too much or excite the customer too much, and under deliver, especially when it comes to marketing. I'm sure you guys can appreciate sort of how easy it is to bullshit someone when it comes to marketing. We're going to make you a bestseller. We're going to sell thousands of copies. And especially when you go online, the promises become more and more vague.
Yes.
We're going to on the first page of Google. Great. What does that translate to in terms of sales, in terms
And
of
how
downloads?
and where and yes. Like you want the scope of
And-
it.
and
You want it to be
basically-
tangible, right?
You want it to be tangible, and I think that's what a lot of the predatory companies out there do. So I mean, obviously, your listeners will be smart enough to know the differences between sort of traditional publishers, self-publishers, and vanity presses, and not to fall into the trap of
Yes,
I
of the
think a
vanity
smooth
press.
salesman. I think a smooth salesman, especially when so I'll try my best not to mention names, but everyone knows about the industry predators, especially based offshore. So when you start getting calls within South Africa, as we do from companies are so excited to chat with you and just have this amazing offer in dollars, obviously. The alarm bells go off, and that's an example of huge promises with delivery that does not match, leaving a disappointed author. So I like to educate before I sell, and I like to educate, and I like to educate after I'm selling, because I want you to be happy. And the only way you're happy is if you understand what process you're going through and why you need to go through it. So I avoid all the fluff that tends to creep into conversations about, getting you to the number one spot and ranking, and, and I tend to focus on your, so what you need.
Yes.
I do believe firmly in cold water. So I do believe in going, listen, author, I think limit your expectations a bit here, because, I know you grow up and your family tells you how amazingly special you are, but realistically, you're going into a big pond here, and it doesn't mean you can't succeed. It just means you need to have the right mindset.
And I think you need to
can't be
also
optimistic.
just let the author know that it's not a one-time thing. It's going to be for the rest of your life. You don't stop ever.
Yes.
Absolutely agreed. So it's the way I like to phrase it is, okay, so your book is a product and you are the business. Now, what plans do you have for your business? And most authors stop at the book. They go, oh, well, the book looks okay, and I've had it edited by my friends. Okay, so you've got one average product. Now, what are your plans for the product?
How are you going to make
Where
it
will you
visible,
sell it?
stand out?
So I mean, obviously, the essential parts of the business are having a good book, which means not cutting corners. And that's probably the first mistake authors make, is they cut corners. In other words, I think your two most expensive exercises are typically a cover and editing, right?
Yes, yes.
And self-publishing authors tend to think that they're doing a smarter thing
By designing the cover
cutting
themselves.
those costs. And time again, I'll see an author override my design team, who had a really stunning design with something very specific that means the world to them, but
I'm
to
one of
no one
those.
else.
I'm one of those, and I'm like, but it's so beautiful, and I like the colors, and this is just, it works for
No,
me, it
Carlisle,
grabs me,
no.
and then Eric will go, that is not what's selling. The story needs to be shown on the cover. That's how people are these days. They pick up the book, they see the
And it
story
has to
in
fit
one
with the
image.
genre.
Man, I would pull my hair out. I'm so glad you actually can't see my face right now, because I have authors that my cover team does the most amazing job for, and they come back, they override it.
Oh, no.
And I think the one of the most recent authors walked into a garden, took pictures of some roses, and said, "There, that's what I want on my cover."
No.
And I try so hard, but the problem is, at any moment, if I'm selling services on the back end, I've got a conflict of interest. And so a lot of South Africans are very wary of that, going, well, of course you want me to do a cover because, you're selling them.
Yes.
And it's frustrating. I understand it. And the only answer to that is if the author does their homework. But authors interfering is probably one of my biggest frustrations, when they
It
interfere
depends
too
on the
heavily in the
author,
process.
I think. Don't you think?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about, David. I mean, I always say, look, I'm also starting with the designing at the moment. Took a course from one of the designers that does amazing covers. I'm sure if for first time authors, if you don't know who Regina Wamba is,
Get
go
on
look
that.
her up.
Get
Yeah.
on that.
So I took a course from her, and what you are saying here is so,
Vital.
yeah. I always say an author should never be part of their cover. Reason why I don't design my own covers, I still have designers doing my own, even if I can fairly make decent cover. I will never design my own cover because I'm too close to the book itself. I always give my opinion, of what I would like to see on the cover, and then I leave it to the designer, just to go with whatever, he has in his mind. Because as an author, you are not a designer. You will not know what fits. You don't have that knowledge of what makes a cover beautiful. And what works, So, yeah, no, I don't design my own covers. I'll design other people's covers. And still you have to take so many aspects when you design the cover.
It has to tell a story in one
And not
image.
just that, it has to fit with the genre. It has to stand out among all your genre's covers. Or, just stand next to one of the big names and it has to fit. You know what I mean?
Completely agree. And
Yes.
I think too many authors, they have the most common mistake I have with my authors is they try to put too much. The cover's too busy, so they go, well, it has this, and it has a bit of love,
You can't
and it
do
has a bit
that.
of action, and it has a bit of this.
Yeah.
And your ends up looking like a Picasso collage of some
Yeah,
sort.
I know what you're talking about.
And
Spaghetti
I have yet
bolognese.
to see an exception to the rule that simple is better.
Yes. That is in everything, not just in creating covers, but actually in everything. A simple concept of the book is doing much better than a concept that has so many elements, So yeah, with everything, as simple as sometimes the
Stick to
best.
the core and weave a little bit of prettiness in there, if it makes sense.
Because if you move from the cover to the inside of the book, one thing authors do, so it's more nonfiction than fiction, but where it comes to nonfiction books, they tend to put low quality images inside. And I find myself again and again, when it comes to the interior, to get it to look better, saying, authors, please take out these pictures. Let's leave it text only for now. The pictures are doing your book a disservice. Aside from upping your print costs, the pictures need to be either very good quality or probably not in at all.
Yes.
To get it to look
Another
better.
thing,
So-
it's like pictures as well. And I mean, this is what first-time authors don't realize as well. You can write a book just about pictures, pixels and sizes and stuff. There's so many things you need to learn. And with print book, your pixels, your resolution has to be bigger than
yes.
digital. I mean, you can do it, but it's like I said, with low resolution pictures, the print is not gonna come out beautiful. It might look beautiful in a digital, but it might not look beautiful when you print the book. So Yeah, but there's also less is better. What I like to do when I format my books, I create a header just for that book. So it's very custom made and stuff like that. But for the digital, you have to go as low as you can without without it showing pixelated or it's a bit blurry or whatever. It has to be still good quality. And if you do that, you also have to remember it is going to up your file at the end when you upload it on Amazon.
Yeah.
So you are going to lose money. You're going to lose royalties because it's going to cost Amazon a tad bit more money for the reader to download it. So if you want to make more money, leave the pictures
simple.
out of it and just leave it simple.
Out of interest, Erica, have you explained to the readers, the listeners, about the delivery surcharge from Amazon?
The what?
The delivery surcharge.
No. I'm only mentioning now because we are on that topic. You know what you are struggling with when it comes to some authors with having pictures in their interior.
Would you mind if I give a quick
Yes.
2-second
Go for it.
explanation?
Go for it.
Go.
One of the reasons authors with books that are very picture heavy, so cookbooks,
Children
coffee
books.
table books, children's books, have to be so careful is
Graphic
because
novels.
Amazon obviously gives you two options to get paid. It gives you a 35% of list price or 70% of list price. Now, everyone would go, great, I want 70% because obviously it's a lot more money. And that's not always the case. Because as soon as you flick across to the 70% option, there are a few asterisks, a few NBs that pop into that statement. So Amazon will give you 70%. If it's a reader from the first world buying your book, in other words, if I buy your book from the United States, you will get 70%. But if I buy it from within Africa, you won't. The book has to obviously obey Amazon's pricing rules. In other words, between the $2.99 and $9.99 mark. Then the final or the main part of getting paid when you selected 70% is that Amazon says, okay, we'll give you 70%, but we're going to charge you per megabyte of file size. And that's why optimizing your books is essential. So authors creating books, it depends how you create it. If you're using, I guess, Microsoft Word, they have their own tools inside to compress images. Authors using companies in between, for example, they generally would optimize the book. But just beware for authors with heavy image based books. If you don't optimize, you will lose 15, I think, US cents per megabyte of file size. So if your book is 10 megabytes big, you're losing over $1 to Amazon. Before the book's actually been paid, the royalties have been paid to your account.
Yeah, and that's all just the images. So I always try when I do, when authors ask me for images, I always explain that to them. That we have to be careful with images, not heavy images. If you want something, keep it very simple. And because it always looks nice if you have a header that has like a little thing around the chapter and tools and calls and stuff like that. It looks pretty and, I'm all for pretty. But at the end of the day, it's going to, the author is going to get out a lot less of money from the royalties. And I mean, come on, everyone is publishing books to make money. That is the main reason why you want to publish. Even if they don't, even if they say, no, it's not the reason, I know it is the reason.
I want to go a little bit off topic here, just to give something to our listeners out there that they can use today. I think the number one thing that authors across the globe struggle with is getting the visibility that they feel they deserve and they need to make their book stand out. What to you would be a good tip to just get your brand or your product or your book visible out there? I know that CEO on your websites and tags and keywords, and that is quite essential for Google searches.
Yeah. So the first question I'm going to ask an author is going to be, are you part of the brand, or do you really want to, remain hidden behind the scenes? So a lot of authors have an aversion to showing their face, and that's probably the first. That's probably the first thing I want to dispel is that, as the author, often you have to put yourself out there because if you're hiding behind the scenes, hoping that your book on its own is going to be enough to attract attention, it's going to be a long wait. So the first thing is the author must understand, listen, you've got to do this. Your brand's so important. If this book is something that you want to take seriously, you have to start focusing on your brand and your exposure. Then I would ask the author in terms of budgeting, in terms of timeline, because there's always a quicker, shorter paid route, and there's always a longer, cheaper route if the author's willing to put more effort in.
Yes.
So the risk of just splashing money means you risk being taken for a ride. You might be that lucky author who finds the perfect partner, who you trust completely and gives you amazing pricing, in which case, love them to bits, hold on to them. But if you're the average person, like us,
Yes.
that's the option you face. Are you going to pour money into things like Google AdWords, into Amazon AdWords, into Facebook, or are you going to take a longer term approach, which I tend to favor? So my favorite route is learning. I don't want to do anything that I don't understand. So, for example, the organic search. In other words, I want people to find out about me naturally through Google and other search engines, which means I put things out there for free. And that's kind of the golden rule for being found organically or naturally, is give away freely. And that could be you writing through a blog. It could be you recording videos. It could be you recording blog posts. Podcasts like you guys are doing now.
Yes.
But the bottom line, and it goes against some common sense, is to give away freely to create breadcrumbs that point back to you. And I think that's where a lot of authors fall off the wagon. They get confused by, why should I be recording content and writing for free? And that's the first choice. So if you're going to go naturally and you want to appear organic, you need to put out breadcrumbs that will lead back to your central platform.
Yes.
And I mean, it doesn't have to be like an entire free book. You can put pieces of a book up on, any kind of writing platform, or just on your Facebook page and write a little piece out of the book, a little excerpt, chapter 1, and put the link to the book if you want to go that way.
That's not a bad idea. So what I would recommend, if the author wants to take this if they want to take it seriously, if they want to take their role seriously, rather to own their own platform. So rather than relying on the whims of Facebook and pasting directly on Facebook, I'm a big fan of centralizing everything you do off a website.
Yes.
And then sharing that to Facebook, sharing that, to YouTubes and to Twitters and things like that.
Yes.
So at least, because you don't want the user to be distracted by everything being sold to them on Facebook.
Yes.
So at least if it's hosted on your website, it can still be shared to Facebook, but it's a platform that you own as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. Look, I was one of those authors that you are talking about actually now, where I thought, my book, if I just put everything behind the book and just stay in the background, it will do well. And it did for a while. But I had
disconnected.
I had to start getting myself out there as well. And I'm really, starting with it only now. And I've been an author for 4 years already, 5 years, I don't even know. So that is valid. That is a very valid point that you are saying at the moment. As an author, and I know a lot of authors are introverts. It's one of the reasons why you write, to try to get your voice out there. But you have to look at being an author as an extrovert. You have to put yourself out there. You have to connect with other authors. Your brand will sell better. If you do, if they can actually put a face on the author name. When I started doing that, I actually saw that my sales were picking up again. So, yes, I know it's not easy, especially if you're an introvert, but it is something you have to do, unfortunately, if you want to grow your brand into something, big. So, yeah.
I completely agree. I think one of the most important parts of putting yourself out there as an author is, even if you're an introvert, some part of you wants the recognition, some part of you wants to help people, and some part of you wants acknowledgement from the readers, because money alone, it's great, but I do think that reader appreciation plays a much bigger part than we think it does in the process. And the thing is, if you aren't putting yourself out there and going, "Hello, I'm the author. I wrote the book. Here's how you can contact me."
Yeah.
I think you're missing out on that cycle. You're missing out on readers giving you pats on the back, going, "That was really cool, man. Thanks a lot."
Yes.
And I think also in the industry, it's all about connection and, being part of something. That's what we do. We're creative people who want to reach out to other people.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, David, we have to cut you off there. We have to go to a break now. We always miss the breaks. So we're gonna take a break quickly, just for everyone that wants to go do quickly something else. We will be on in about 5 minutes, 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Yeah, so we're just going on an ad break. Please do not go anywhere. We have David Henderson online and talking about the publishing industry and how to create books and get a more insight around where you want to go with your book after you hit that publish button. Thank you so much.
Harnessing the power of talk radio. brandlive.co.za.
This is what you missed on brandlive.co.za.
We're broadcasting live in one of the boxes at 27 boxes.
Hey, can I ask you something there? Can you please tell me, do you think the post-90s, did they really fully integrate,
Sure.
Since we're talking about integrating today, though.
But you do what? Civil engineering?
Civil engineering, yeah.
Okay, and how's that going for you?
It's okay.
So
It's
a whole
fine.
lot of studying?
School, it's a lot of studying.
And
I
banking
guess.
school, a lot of banking school.
I don't bunk school. I just don't go to school when they tell us not to go.
Lies. I've seen this with my eyes. Lies.
Someone was saying, I'm sure there's 10 soapies now happening same time.
I'm gonna say something, right? That might sound like I'm shading or hating or whatever. There's lots of work for actors right now, but lots of actors aren't working. Lots of people are acting.
Ooh, insightful conversations.
Have you ever thought about the power of social media? Social media has the power to make your business grow. Yeah. Why don't you let us manage your social media? Because our business is to see your business grow. Visit us at www.bstownmedia.co.za.
brandlive.co.za.
And we're back from the Melville studio, and with us today is David Henderson from My eBook South Africa.
Hi, sorry, I'm just adjusting my earphones here. David, you're still operating on My eBooks, right? Hello?
I am, absolutely.
Oh yeah, okay. So you haven't changed you haven't rebrand your company name. So just if everyone wants to go and look you up and ask you to help them with, they can still go to myebooks.co.za.
Absolutely. So it's my ebook, myebook.co.za. We are going through a rebrand, but it's still, you can still find us through the .co.za website.
Okay.
We're in the middle of sort of freshening things up with a new look website, new look branding and things like that, but otherwise they can still find us through the same website address.
Okay, awesome.
David, you just recently came back from Germany. Tell us about that experience and what you took back that you're going to inject into your brand, so to say.
Interesting. So yeah, for those listening, I was at the Frankfurt Book Fair.
And I loved that interview, by the way.
Did you like it?
I loved it.
That's great, man. So I was at the Frankfurt Book Fair from the 10th to the 14th of October this year. And for a South African going for the first time to the book fair,
was it
I
massive?
felt very small.
Was it massive?
It's huge. It just, as far as I know, it might be one of the biggest in the world.
Oh, here we come, Germany!
if not the biggest. And yeah, it was absolutely mind-blowing in scale. The amount of people, the amount of publishers that were rubbing shoulders. So it definitely brought home just how big our industry actually can be.
Yes.
I think too often we stuck behind computers and we think what makes us feel like we're a bit of an isolated bubble, and Frankfurt was, I think it was an extrovert's like dream come true. It was absolutely big,
mind blowing.
It was very cool people. Lots of talks were organized.
Was
there
it
was a
more
lot of
for
foot traffic, so the first 3
like
days.
the publishing companies, or was it like a mix of all readers, designers, everything in the book industry?
So because of the costs of having a stall, it's generally the established companies that would have stalls there.
Yes.
So it's obviously not cheap to have a stall. So you're not going to have sort of the average freelancer, grabbing a stall. Although you would have them circulating through, through the halls themselves and sort of making connections. So yeah, the stalls themselves were mostly hosted by the bigger sort of publishing companies. There were other sort of non-publisher, non-author related stalls, and that's sort of the tech companies who would have their stalls. But obviously, everything had a focus on books as well.
Okay, awesome. And why would you? What would your number one reason be for an author to actually go and attend book fests? I mean,
especially the one
yes.
that you were to. What would be our incentive as an author to go to things like these?
So you've got to establish as an author what it is you need, and this is less of an author question and more of a business question. So
Yes.
right now, if I could sit across from an author and they could tell me exactly what they needed, and I could grant them their wish, what would that be? So they could say things like, I need to write more. I need to get more exposure. I need a writing group. I need a publisher. And basically, you need to know what it is on your wish list. If you could have anything given to you, what it would be. Then you go to the book fair knowing that. So going to the book fair on a whim, I mean, yeah, okay, if you live not too far away, it's not a bad thing. I mean, obviously, to fly across for South Africans is quite pricey. So I wouldn't recommend it unless you had a specific plan in mind. So there was a partnership that you wanted to create. There was an author that you had to meet. There was a talk being given that you had to attend. Because being at an event like this is absolutely golden for your brand. So one of the things, when I was there, yeah.
It is actually, from all the times that I've been overseas to events like that, the information that you come back with is not something you can just readily find available through searches and internet. That interaction and that the little workshops they give and the talks are so valuable, and it really it's changed, like you said, it's life changing. It is worth going and spending that money if you're going to be in it for the long haul, obviously.
Yeah. Obviously, it's a long haul question. So there's nothing that beats sharing a cup of coffee with someone,
like-minded,
where you have a mutual interest. And that's what these sort of book fairs do, is they give you that moment where you share a cup of coffee and a conversation. And
they give you the opportunity.
It gives you a chance. So my golden rule is you don't go there to sell. No matter what your goal is, whether it's partnership or sales, you do not go there to sell.
You're going there to network.
Don't be a network marketer, that typical Amway salesman that, hunts you and sort of chases the customer down and forces them to buy whatever it is they want to buy. You walk into every conversation with an open mind going, if all I take away from this conversation is
the experience,
a good chat, that's okay. And that's probably the mistake that a lot of people make, is they walk into a conversation looking to force a point of view or a product down your throat. Instead of just looking for a cool conversation that might end up,
just looking
resulting
to
in
extract
something else.
knowledge from someone else, from another point of view, from another country. Their experiences are, in their publishing world, such a big book fest is different to ours. So you're taking from them. What did you take from your experience there?
I think the scale was quite humbling. That was the first thing I felt, was the scale of size made me feel very humble.
And you felt
made
excited. Yay! I love books.
So it was absolutely humbling just to see how big our market actually is. And it brings you a bit out your shell, because the risk is, if you stay too much isolated at home or at the business or wherever that might be, is you aren't exposed to new things, to new brands. I saw a couple companies doing things there that, I was potentially thinking about doing. And so it definitely makes you realize that, there's a lot more happening out there than if
What
if
were
you had to
couples
just
doing
hide.
in Germany that you wanted to do?
Say that again.
Sounds a bit dodged, David.
Companies.
Trust me, in Germany it very well could be. So a lot of the tech side of being an author was being answered there at the book fair. You know, a lot of the platforms for authors to sell books, for authors to promote books, they were being displayed there, you know, by companies that had given it some good effort. You know, so if I hadn't been to the fair, I might still think that you know, this was the biggest and brightest idea that no one's had. And so it's humbling, but like I say, if your heart's in this, it shouldn't really change what it is you wanted to do. So, you know, I still want to help authors. So the fact that someone else might be doing something similar doesn't really put me off that much.
Yes.
Because I still think being in Africa, you know, we have a very special slant on business. You know, we have a very special take on what it's like being an author to Amazon, you know, living in the third world.
Yeah, we kind of have a lot of difficulties, red tape involving a developing country. And as you said in your interview that I listened to, we are, you know, we stand out when it comes to the business side because we're resilient, we adapt quickly, and we overcome the challenges. We're problem solvers that way.
We do.
Because everything is not easy for us, I can tell you that.
I'm just thinking of all the things we have to go through to get to the same spot that other authors already, you know, reach quite easily. You know, things like I struggle getting hold of PayPal. You know, and our PayPal rules that say like you can't really keep money in the account and you've got to transfer it out within 30 days and you aren't allowed to do this with it and that with it. You know, I struggle to get a US-based bank accounts that Amazon pays to. I struggle to actually get orders from Amazon itself. You know, by virtue of just being in South Africa, you painted with this brush of, oh my God, a lion's going to eat the post that I'm going to send you. You know, so it means that we have to hustle
then don't
twice
send
as fast
meat.
to get things done.
I know when I applied for my ITIN number, I was rejected because at the time I was applying, Amazon didn't want to work with the High Council of South Africa because we were so corrupt.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of it is. Like I said, we have a lot of obstacles in this business because we are based in South Africa. But yeah,
but it shouldn't be an excuse. I mean,
no.
Far we've come.
Yes.
Look how far you've come. If you really want it, you can make it.
No, that is true. Okay, we almost reached the end of our session for today. David, I just wanted to say thank you very much for talking to us today. You were always my go-to guy. I mean, because you know this industry so well. And you stay on top of it. I mean, if new things come out, you really go out of your way to, you know, learn what they are. And
for
then
aspiring authors out there, go to David's blog. He's got so many valuable and information that you can use today to make a difference to your, you know, your brand, your publishing ways right now today.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. I'm actually blushing this out. You can't see it.
Well, we're still waiting for our invite to Cape Town, by the way.
I tell you what. If you hate water, Cape Town is the place to be.
Okay, that's funny. Shame. I feel for you guys.
It's been a pleasure speaking to you, and we miss you in Joburg, but we're really happy that you've established yourself in Cape Town. Is it going good?
It's going beautiful, man. I think the hardest thing about Cape Town is probably the Cape Townians. But if you take the Cape Townians out,
well, they're
Cape
slow. No offense. Are they slow?
Say that again?
Are Cape Townians slow compared to Joburg?
Are
the
they
pace?
Slow? No, they just Cape Townians aren't fond of people. They aren't fond of people. They don't like driving well.
Oh wow!
They don't like, you know, like renting out places for cheap prices. So
oh, I'm telling you, everything is expensive there.
I know. I love Cape Town when we were there.
Yeah, it was fun, but it's expensive.
It's definitely fun. It's definitely fun. It's just, I think being a people person, it's very tough for me to not have people want to be, you know, too friendly. And that's probably my biggest complaint with Cape Townians is just that being friendly has become a chore.
So someday soon we'll get a restraining order.
I'm probably going to get that fairly soon, yeah.
David, it's been a pleasure. We've got like a minute left. Is there anything that you would like to put out there that can help an author today?
Don't do drugs.
Especially today.
It's been a pleasure, David. Have a good time.
Until the weekend.
Thank
Great.
you
Thanks
so
a lot
much.
for the chat, guys. Much appreciated.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for talking to us.
Bye.
Great, man. Okay, bye.
Okay, thank you everyone for listening to today Gossip with a Quill, and we will
Signing out from Malvo.
back next week, Friday, with speaking. I don't know who we have lined up next, but do know that it is going to be very interesting
And valuable.
That's it. Yes.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Harnessing the power of talk radio. Brandlive.co.za